All right, we've been a story that we've been following for you. Kind of broke the story with you last Friday. Had Jordan Miller on from Jordan Miller News, and we were telling you about the big shakeup in the Eastern Buckeye Conference, the Pac-7, the IVC. Now the wheels are in motion. Now there's going to be a brand new league forming in 2028, and we now know that West Branch and Salem have applied to join the NE8, and if they would both be accepted into the league, that would put it at 9. And then you've got the rest of the NBC, the EBC. You've got Alliance kind of hanging there a little bit. You've got Warren Holland, who's going to be coming in. The Pac-7 is going to be looking for some schools. The IBC says they're looking for some schools. There is a lot going on right now. Figured we would reach out and check in with the outstanding athletic director, Ryan Wolf at West Branch High School. And Ryan, of course, the great baseball coach as well, is coming on with talk with us here this afternoon. Coach, good afternoon. How are we doing this afternoon?
Oh, we're wonderful. It's nice outside and sun was out. It's great.
Let's go play ball. Coach, let's go play some ball today. It's beautiful outside. Beautiful outside for a little baseball. So let's kind of turn the clock back here a couple of days. And what was the reaction from yourself, your staff, the folks with West Branch and the schools that the big announcement was made about teams leaving and will be forming a new league here in 2028? Did that catch a lot of folks off guard? And what was the thinking right away when that news came out?
So I would say we weren't necessarily caught off guard on Friday. We had kind of gotten word the week before that Minerva, Carrollton, Marlington were possibly going to be leaving. Our superintendent had talked to some other superintendents. He had a conference call with the league schools. So we weren't off guard. So really what we did was, as soon as we found out, we started prepping for, what can we do? How can we, where can we go? What teams are looking, what conferences are looking, how can we make sure that, West Branch is okay? But at the same time, Salem and Alliance were important to us. That what can we do to make sure everybody's okay? And that's kind of where we partnered up with Salem with the whole, you mentioned the NE8. Both of us are local. We play a lot of those teams. So it felt like it was a possible fit. But we've never lost contact with Alliance. Alliance is working on some stuff, and we're kind of all together trying to make sure that everybody's okay and finds a home. Whether we're all together or whether we're not, we want to make sure we all have a fit.
Was there, how do I phrase this question? Was there thought maybe a year ago, a couple of years ago, that maybe something like this could be in the works, or did this just kind of happen?
I've had a feeling, kind of a gut feeling for like the last year that there was a possibility something could, especially we've been looking to try to invite other teams and expand from 6, and we just didn't really have any luck. Just geography for the way where our schools are makes it tough because you get further into Stark County, it's harder for West Branch and Salem. You start working towards Mahoning County, that makes it a lot tougher for Carrollton and Minerva, even Marlington's a little bit further. So, it did seem like there could be something that might change, and then some disparity in just kind of the teams and the overall performances felt like it could happen.
Yeah, outside of that, the feeling that maybe some things were going on, were you pretty? Obviously, you've reached out maybe to some schools in the past and tried to bump up your numbers as far as teams, but was everybody pretty happy with the EBC and the way things were going with the competition, the facilities, academics, and just was the league in pretty good shape? I mean, I kind of thought it was.
Yeah, I would say it was. I mean, our conference meetings were always, we're always looking forward in ways that we can make it better, and always looking to make improvements for our student athletes, and even some of the other stuff like our cheer competition. Not a lot of leagues do that. It's always big for us. We have Super Saturday for our middle schools, where a high school hosts a whole bunch of championship games, and we try to make it the best experience possible. We were all in good standing. The only thing I can say is there's been a lot of changeover as far as athletic directors in the league over the last years. And, I don't know if people bring in new ideas that haven't been around. Just athletic directors in general, it seems like it's a short-lived term for a lot of people, whether it's their end of their careers or, just kind of the way the job is. That could, play a role for sure. But as far as us working together, there was no animosity. Everybody was on the same page, and, whatever we can do to make it better for our student athletes.
Ryan Wolf is our guest, the athletic director at West Branch High School, kind enough to join us here on the Sam Bourquin Show today, 1310 WDPN, and all of our social media platforms. Ryan, it's funny you brought that up about the athletic directors kind of coming and going. I remember not that long ago, like I would see athletic directors stay at school for a long time. Some would be there decades before they would retire. Is this kind of a new trend, a new thing going on here? Is this just a little, I don't know, a little blurb on the radar, so to speak?
I'm not sure. I think it's more of a trend. In a lot of schools, you're seeing just a lot of changeover because the demands on the job and the support that's given. I'm lucky where I'm at, get a lot of help and a lot of support, but there's a lot of demand, especially as we expand into more sports. More schools have even more. We just added flag football. Schools have lacrosse, bowling. I mean, it's just a constant thing. So I think the demand, especially for younger people with families, that makes it tougher because of the time. And then, a lot of people that have experience as administrators, like to kind of end their careers that way. So that kind of shortens it too.
So with West Branch applying to the NE8 and Salem as well, I went down this list earlier in the program. It would be a league of Salem, West Branch, if you guys are both admitted in, Girard, Hubbard, Niles, Lakeview, Poland, South Range, and Struthers. That would put the league at 9 teams. I know you can't speak on Alliance, but I know you guys are trying to kind of take care of each other here a little bit as much as you can. Would that make sense for them? You get this league to 10 and maybe go 5-5, like a 2-tiered thing, or is that not up for discussion?
Honestly, I'm not sure. We met with the other ADs in the league last week. Matt Freeman from Salem and I just kind of ask questions and feel them out. But there hasn't been a lot of discussion since then. The commissioner's out of town, for a few more weeks. So I think once he gets back, we'll kind of sit down and attack this a little bit more. He was gone when all this happened. So It's kind of been like a whirlwind in this last week. What does that league want to do? What's the makeup of that? Is there going to be shakeup anywhere else? I've noticed that a lot of leagues, especially this year, you've seen a lot of teams moving around. The MVAC teams, county teams. So there's teams in the MVAC that might be interested, or teams from other conferences that might want to go there. You just don't know. I think there's a lot more shakeup that's coming.
I just wonder, with a 9-league team, obviously, I mean, your scheduling's pretty much done for you, but then it kind of limits your opportunities to maybe schedule some games in certain sports. Is that something that you and other ADs would talk about, worry about, or no?
Yeah, I mean, we would look at the total number of games and how many league games. So if it's a 9-team league, you're looking at 16 games in basketball. Only leaves you 6 non-conference. I mean, is that enough? Is there something we need to do? Soccer, and you really couldn't play. You would only be playing league games if you played each other twice. So you'd have to look to maybe play once, and that could give you some extra non-conference games. But like baseball, softball, it's pretty helpful because you're looking at less. But it is something that we would sit down, we would talk about per sport, really, and how we would want to attack it, whether you're playing once or twice.
Athletic Director at West Branch, Ryan Wolf, is our guest here on the Sam Bourquin Show, AM 1310 WDPN, and streaming at all of our social media platforms. So do you, I don't know, it's probably a tough question to answer. Is there a ballpark as far as the time that's concerned that you will know whether you will be a part of the NE8? What's the time frame on that? Any idea at all?
No, we don't have one right now. Like I said, like with the commission being out of town, it's really hard to say. And we're still in talks. We applied. We think it could be a good fit, but we're also looking at where our the numbers just came out yesterday from the OHSA for the next 2 years.
Right.
As far as school sizes, so we're taking a look at that and looking at competition and kind of what is the best for our student athletes to continue. We've had a lot of success here, but we want to continue to have, drive to be more successful, get more regional appearances, more state appearances. So what can help our student athletes in that way also? So, because the conference can really help you when it comes to tournament time. So,
no doubt.
And then how do we take care of Salem and Alliance?
No doubt. I mean, you guys are, girls basketball, really good. Boys basketball having a great year. Obviously, the football team was incredible. The baseball pro. I mean, you got some great things going on there. You talked about the enrollment figures. I don't know if you have offhand. That's fine. But where is West Branch sitting enrollment wise? Let's just take this window, 2026 through like 2031. What is that looking like for you?
I mean, our number for boys was 216 and our girls was 193. We're pretty consistent. I think in the next count will be a little bit lower in boys, but you never know in high school. Some kids move in, some kids move out. But we're sitting there pretty consistent. We're in football, we're going to stay Division IV. Boys basketball, Division IV, baseball 4. Girls basketballs because the girls were a little bit on the borderline of Division V, but I don't think we're actually going to drop there. So to me, we're a Division IV team and we're going to stay consistently there throughout these 4, 5, 6 years.
So again, a lot of what ifs here, but if you are able to get into the new league, I mentioned the schools' names that will be in there with you. How does it contrast and compare West Branch going in with those other schools? Pretty close in enrollment, pretty close with ideals and philosophies and things that really kind of make up a conference from top to bottom?
Yeah, the numbers, some of those schools are a little bit smaller. It's more of a Division IV and V conference where the EBC was a Division III and IV conference. But it's very similar. And then one thing about that conference, why we felt like it might be a good fit, is we play all those teams in non-conference right now. Mm-hmm. Every one of those teams pretty much are on our schedule for every sport that we play. So there's rivalries built. The way they run their league is very similar to the EBC. So, the transition would be pretty easy, and the philosophies and ideas that, they put behind, academics first and athletics and, supporting our student athletes is very similar.
When you look at leagues, I always look at geography, and I try to look at the the financial part of it a little bit, and travel and things like that. Is that going to work out pretty well as far as that's concerned? And what would be the furthest school or schools away from where you guys are that you would have to, make a couple of trips back and forth in different sports throughout the year?
So if we're talking the Northeast state, Lakeview would be the furthest. Hubbard, about a 45-minute trip. It's a pretty easy trip, which is nice. But if you had Salem, South Range is real close. The rest of them aren't too bad in that 30-minute range, 35 minutes. So, it's a little bit further than going to Alliance, Marlington, and Salem. But, that Carrollton trip is always a tough one. So, a little bit easier than that. So distances aren't too bad. I mean, we've talked about that too, looking at financials, because our departments run completely on our revenue that we make from ticket sales and then advertising. So, how can we hit the market when it comes to sponsorships to be effective to help make money, and then also ticket sales, what type of gates will we get, and what types of fans. That's why the rivalries matter, right? Who we play and who we have played. Building on established rivalries is important. So that's another reason why we talk about Salem and Alliance so much. Those are established for us, so we want to keep those involved in whatever way we can.
Ryan Wolf is our guest, the West Branch Athletic Director, joining us here on 1310 WDPN. That's kind of the name of the game here lately, I've noticed. I don't care if it's Division VII schools or Division I. the generation of revenue has really come to the forefront here lately, and different schools and districts do things different ways to increase revenue, to increase ticket sales, to maybe step out of the box and be innovative. You guys, I think, have always kind of been ahead of the curve a little bit in those departments. But what are maybe some of the plans that you have now and maybe down the road to generate and make the finances maybe a little bit more comfortable?
Honestly, just having good teams, the better teams we can put on the field, the better crowds we get, and the more money that's generated, the more eyes. So we stream all our games, and we work with a student-led broadcast for football and basketball games where we have we can show commercials and do those. So the more eyes we can get on our programs, the more we can kind of push our brand, the better. So that's kind of where we're looking. And if we can dabble into some different markets right now, we're kind of with that, the EBC, we're kind of no man's land because, the Mahoning Valley is not really looking that way. We would get some games like WKBN would cover us a little bit. You guys would cover us a lot, but when you come out to, you go out to Canton, not all our people are heading that way, and they're not all coming this way to advertise with us. So whatever we do, if we can maybe, hit a market that's been untouched by us, by some of our fans, I think that's something we'll definitely look into, just to try to drive a little bit better of a revenue stream. We have a lot of things that have been happening in the positive here, with our new field lights. We just put a new weight room in. So to continue to build that excitement, it's important to us.
No doubt. And you got some great teams and you got some great coaches as well. And that certainly helps. Ryan, I appreciate you coming on today. Busy times, I know, for you and everybody at West Branch and the conferences. So we appreciate you taking the time here today. And best of luck, and I'm sure we'll reach out to you here down the road and see how things are going, okay?
Great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You got it. There he goes. Ryan Wolf, the athletic director at West Branch, joining us here on AM 1310 WDPN. And we had a lot